I've got more time. That phrase, I've got more time, thought I had more time, wish I could have had more time. There's more time, so I'm just going to correct this couple things in this mix before I finish it. There's more time, so before I submit this song to this contest or this whatever, this person who's a producer, this songwriter who might like my song, this artist, is before I put it out there, before I post it, share it, I just got to do a couple more things. Maybe if I just re-record the vocal, because it ain't perfect, it'll be better then, and then I'll have the right, I'll fix these imperfections and everything will be perfect. Let me just tell you, it's possible that you, by doing all this, are actually predicting. You're trying to envision the path that's going to take you from place A, where you are, to where you want to go. You think you can predict it. And in doing that, you're actually trying to be like, if my mix isn't perfect, then I won't get where I'm trying to go because I envision myself as a mixer, right? Maybe it's actually the song that you wrote that's going to be the valuable thing, and it doesn't matter how it's mixed. Maybe that song's going to get used by some major artist, and you're a songwriter now. Now you're a guy who's a songwriter for multiple people, big artists. So it had nothing to do with the mix. It's really about how good you wrote the song. You would never know if that would happen to you if in your head you envision yourself as the perfect, as a mixer who's so good, on the level of Serban, and you can't possibly send anything out until it's the perfect mix. So you wait and you wait and you keep editing your stuff. And then you think, if I just buy this piece of gear, everything will be better. So why don't I wait till then to start doing what I'm doing? Maybe if I just wait till I get that new microphone, I could re-record the vocals and then it'll be perfect. And then everybody will I'll have a chance. I just got to wait. Maybe it's better if I let this opportunity, like, let me gather a bunch of songs, 5, 6, 10, 20 songs. Let's put a bunch together before we contact this person, just in case, that way we have more. Makes sense. You could always make sense out of waiting. You'll always find a way to reason the waiting. And it's actually the worst possible move you could possibly make. Possible. There's no worse move than waiting. And the reason for that is because our time is limited. So when you wait, you just make it easier to keep waiting. You don't make it easier to finish the next day. You're building this habit of waiting and building this habit of it's not done. It needs more. It needs more improvement. Now you get this one piece of gear you think is going to make everything better. Now oh, wow, well, what if I just had that? I got to wait till I get a new computer. Then I got to wait till I get new converters. I got to wait till I get a new compressor. Hold on. I need this Neve mic pre. If you're waiting to get anything done, because there's always more stuff you could buy. There's always more takes you could do. There's always more you could record. None of that makes anything better. I hate to tell you, it doesn't. You know what makes things better? Failing. Failing means you agree to finish. You agree to submit to the possibility that what you have done is not going to be successful. It is going to be a failure. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. What I'm saying is you submit yourself to that possibility that might happen when you finish what you're working on. That's why the worst possible thing you could do is wait, not finish, not pursue some opportunity, because as soon as some opportunity comes up, or if it's not even a real opportunity, if it's just an idea you had, that if I just try this and try to contact this person this way, maybe it will work and get you more than where you're at right now. It'll allow you to go farther somehow. Allow you to more people to hear your stuff, allow more something, whatever it is, whatever idea you have, if you don't pursue it immediately, the idea will wind up turning against you and basically putting you in this position where now you know what you want to do, but you're unwilling to submit to the possibility that if you try, you may fail at it. it may not work, and you're almost unwilling to allow yourself to experience that pain of the failure, of the bad idea, you're almost trying to shelter yourself from all of that. And that could be the only way through. In other words, picture a road. There's many forks in it, but the road that has the path you're trying to go down, you don't know which the right path is. But what you do know is that through failing, whichever the road is that will allow you to fail, is probably the road that's going to get you where you're trying to go. This is an elusive concept for some people because they think not failing is the answer. I'd say absolutely not. That's being comfortable. If you're not at risk of failing, you are in a comfortable position and you cannot possibly grow or even really truly enjoy your life if you're in that comfortable position. All right. Now, this doesn't hold true for everyone, but it definitely holds true for creative people who aren't where they want to be. Anybody who's not where they want to be, and this could, no matter how successful you are, you could possibly feel like this, that you're not where you want to be. And the people that know that and acknowledge it, they make themselves more uncomfortable. They don't just sit in the comfort. They push further. They push harder in some direction that's uncomfortable. Let me give you a good example, okay? Tom Lord Alge. Now, I know before I even say anything, people are going to be like, Chris Lord Alge's his brother. So he's nepotism, and that's it. You can only make it through nepotism. I love making voices for the people who think that way, because that's really what you guys sound like to me. You sound like ridiculous people. Clearly, we all know the world works, and if you have connections, it's easier to get somewhere. And if your brother's somebody, it's probably easier to get somewhere. But that's not the point. Listen to the story here. There's a huge delta. There's a big difference between what Tom Lord Alge thought he really wanted to do with his life, which was be a lighting guy. He thought he was a light show designer for bands. That's what he thought he was. All right. Then the guy who did sound for the band he was doing lights for didn't show up. He wound up doing sound, and he was very good at it. And he knew he was good at it. And then somewhere down the line, when his brother Chris Lord Alge, who was working in a studio in Manhattan, when he brought Tom in, Tom already knew he knew something. But Chris threw him right in, had confidence in his brother, and every single thing that Tom didn't know, he figured out. Because that's what I want everyone to know. You could possibly be waiting because you think you don't know enough. You're waiting to find the magic couple tips that will allow you to know a little more, so now when you make a product, you will actually get somewhere because of what you just learned or something. There's nothing wrong with learning things. There is something wrong with waiting until you think you know enough to do things. Because guess what? You never know enough. I'm learning every single day. And I think every mixer learns every single day something. We're always learning something. All of us. So the point is, if you're sitting there thinking you need to know a little more before you can finish something, you're just missing the whole point. That you will learn through time. And what you know now is enough to finish whatever you're working on. And then you reflect on it. Not the day after. Let some time go by, then reflect on it. And just that distance from it, if you do more things in between, you'll get a fresh perspective on what you did like that you liked, what you did that you didn't like, what you could possibly change to improve on the next song or the next album or whatever it was. But if you never actually finish and submit this thing and basically resign yourself to the fact that you could fail, that this could not work, that it's possible no one ever hears it or likes it or whatever, if you don't submit to the fact that that's always a possibility and you just got to ignore that and then move ahead with what you know now, with the gear you have now, with everything that you know at this moment is enough, with the knowledge that you are enough, without letting all that negativity cloud your judgment. Because we can second guess ourselves right out of a hit song. It could be perfect. And then you decide to re-record things another 6, 7, 8 times, and you make it worse. And you densify this thing and just density, 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 more stuff, more guitars. Let's add another thing. And then you just took what could have been a great song that had purpose. It had a great arrangement. It had defined meaning. It had a limited amount of things, and it got the point across, and you made it worse because you're overthinking it. The same with a mix. Same with anything in life. You need to move with a speed and a pace and a confidence that allows you to trust yourself and your instincts. You learn this over time. You get better over time. Your instincts get honed over time. You don't sit there and tweak for days and days and months and let all this time go by without ever putting yourself on the line. You don't do that. And if you have any opportunity, you pursue it immediately. All right? You don't know what's going to get you there. Tom, by doing lights, eventually found himself mixing at the top level. One of the best mixers ever and an amazing guy to listen to in interviews. Explains himself so well. You know, I'd be blessed to be able to interview that dude one day, honestly, because he's awesome. And Chris, too, both of them. I mean, and I don't care if you guys like them or hate them, not relevant. The point is their work speaks for itself, okay? They know what they're talking about, and they navigated these moments just like you're going through also, except they had something else going on which said, there's a deadline of getting this done. And that's something that working with other people will do for you also. When you're just working on your own stuff and you have this no timeline concept, it's so much harder to actually do this. So that's why I've said before, give yourself a deadline, give yourself a timeline. You got to be done by a certain time. No ifs, ands, or buts. You get it done. Make a promise and then keep it. The most important thing for self-confidence is keeping your promises to yourself. If you don't keep your own promises to yourself, you got nothing. You just build up a thing in your head where you know you can't count on yourself. Every time you break a promise, you know you're not to be counted on. You know you ain't worth nothing because you can't count on yourself. It adds up. You know, I didn't start with saying you ain't worth nothing because you didn't count on yourself, but that's what happens in your mind. Over enough of those, you keep breaking your promises, that's where your brain goes. It will tell you that, and that will make it harder for you to finish things because you need the confidence to hit the submit button, to hit publish, to hit post, to send it out, to take an opportunity you might have and actually pursue it. You need confidence. So that's why I say, don't break promises to yourself. Realize that there's a deadline on every single thing you're doing because you don't have an unlimited amount of time. You don't. So when you know that, don't wait. Don't get enough songs together. You got one, that's enough. Send it out. If there's an opportunity for one, you send it out. If this means getting done with this thing you can't possibly seem to get done so you can move to the next thing, then that's what you do. That's what you do. If it's with clients and you just got your first client you're working with or something, get your work for them done as fast as you possibly can. Not rush it out and make it farty and nonsense, but put a deadline on it that makes sense. You know, everybody who's a pro, let's say, mixes in 1 to 2 days a song. Okay, give yourself 4. Give yourself 3 or 4. That's it. Don't give yourself this endless amount of time. Because what you really want to know when you reflect on it later is, what are my instincts telling me? Does this sound good or bad? And how did my instincts treat this? You don't want to know what happens when I second guess myself 100,000 times. Because that's not a repeatable process. You're never going to get to a point where the goal is to second guess myself 100,000 times. It's never the goal. The goal is to hone your instincts, sharpen them. That's the point. You either realize this right now, today, that time is not your friend, and that the worst thing you could do is sleep on an opportunity. It's the worst possible thing. You realize it today, or you wake up 20 years from now wishing you would have realized this. The people who take the most risks get the farthest. Doesn't matter who you know or not, the risk takers get to the people who will help, whether you started out knowing them or not. It's not even relevant. You get to the people who make a difference because you're a risk taker, because you're willing to fail, because you failed more than the guy who's holding it back for months, waiting for it to be perfect, waiting for him to have the perfect gear, to know everything. Because you're not him and you're willing to fail, what you wind up doing is failing right through to the place you want to be. Look at it like real estate. If you get enough real estate in enough places, odds are something at some point is going to turn into a neighborhood that's hot. And now whatever you got is probably going to take off. And the stuff you got that's in bad neighborhoods, it ain't worth nothing. But the point is, you put enough songs together, that's your catalog. You are building this thing of what you can do, whether it's through mixing, producing, writing songs, whatever. And now all of a sudden, you might have something that actually takes off, that is valuable. And then all this other stuff you did comes into play. So don't look at it like it's a waste. It's not a waste of time. If you love this, you will do what I'm saying. You'll be willing to fail because you really want to improve and you want to get somewhere. If you don't really love this, if you just love farting around, then who knows what will happen. You might go 20 years before you realize what I'm saying is true. 20 years from now, you wake up in the same position. You still are guessing at every single move you make. You still don't, because we have so many variables with what we do, that unless you actually fail forward, and you keep learning from it, you never really learn. You never really learn. All you do is keep making changes and tweaks and changes and redoing things, and you're never going to learn. So if you get what I'm saying, then you'll go way, way, way further. So I hope I reach somebody. I really do. If I helped one of you, then it was worth it to me. Because that's what I do when I do this. I'm talking to my younger self, and it doesn't matter what age you are either. You could be 105, all right? You could still get better before you're out of time. You could get better every single day. It doesn't matter if you're willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail and you think perfection's the answer, you can't. You can't. All right? Anybody who grew up with people waiting for stuff because you had to work in a studio and you know you had to get stuff done, it's like they learned this stuff without ever knowing they learned it because they had to get it done or they wouldn't have still been there the next week. They'd have been kicked out for somebody else had taken their spot. It's only the people who came up in this era of we could all do it ourselves that don't realize the key to learning is failing. That's the only people who don't realize it. Everybody else knows the answer to get better is to fail and then learn. So put yourself on the line. You guys got this. I'm going to leave it right there. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. All right? I appreciate it. You guys got this. Take it easy.